Breaking right now. The entire Persian Gulf is on fire, not metaphorically, literally. As you watch this video right now, massive industrial complexes stretching across Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Oman are either burning, under threat, or permanently offline. The world's largest natural gas facility has just been hammered into rubble. Oil tankers are paralyzed, LNG shipments have collapsed, and the energy market just got the worst news it has received in half a century. Here is why you cannot click away right now. Your heating bill, your gas pump, the electricity bill sitting on your kitchen table, the Bitcoin in your wallet, every single one of them is about to move violently. And if you do not understand what just happened in the Gulf in the last 72 hours, you will be caught completely off guard. Stay with me. The implications for your wealth are massive. Welcome back to Dollar Endgame. If you are new here, we connect the geopolitical dots that mainstream financial media refuses to touch. We show you exactly how wars, oil shocks, and currency collapses land directly in your bank account. Hit subscribe right now and stay with us. Let's tear this apart. Okay, the backstory first. 22 days ago, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury against Iran. It was sold to the public as a clean, precise, contained military operation. Get in, neutralize the nuclear program, get out. That is not what happened. On March 18th, Israeli warplanes struck the Asaluye complex in southern Iran. This is the crown jewel of the Iranian energy sector. It processes gas from the South Pars offshore field, the single largest natural gas reservoir on the entire planet. Iran's president called the consequences of this strike uncontrollable. He said they could engulf the entire world. He was not exaggerating. Within hours of that strike, Tehran did something it had never done before in the entire history of this conflict. Iran publicly issued specific evacuation orders, named specific targets: Saudi Arabia's Samref refinery, Saudi Arabia's Jubail petrochemical complex, the UAE's Al Hosn gas field, Qatar's Mesaid petrochemical complex, Qatar's Ras Laffan refinery, 5 critical energy installations, multiple sovereign nations. One warning: you have hours just in. Iran did not bluff. They never bluffed. Within hours of those warnings, a massive barrage of Iranian ballistic missiles and combat drones tore into the Persian Gulf. 6 nations across the GCC came under coordinated attack simultaneously: Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. This was not a surgical strike. This was not a warning shot. This was a full strategic assault designed to detonate the global energy supply chain. Let us go through the specific damage, because this is where your wallet starts to bleed. Breaking, the single most devastating hit: Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial city. This is not just a gas plant. Ras Laffan accounts for 5% of the entire planet's natural gas production. It supplies 20% of the world's entire liquefied natural gas market. Think about that for 1 second. One facility. 1/5 of all the LNG on Earth. On March 18th, Iranian missiles struck Ras Laffan with pinpoint accuracy. Then 12 hours later, they struck it again. The CEO of Qatar Energy confirmed extensive damage, and then he delivered the number that sent shockwaves through every trading floor on the planet. The repairs will take 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years. This is not a wartime disruption. Analysts at Wood Mackenzie called it directly. This strike has fundamentally altered the global gas market outlook. Every additional month this facility stays offline removes another 1.5% from global LNG availability. Qatar Energy calculates the lost annual revenue at $20 billion. But here is where it gets genuinely terrifying for you personally. Qatar was already supplying Europe desperately because Russia's pipelines were sanctioned years ago. European nations have been running on Qatari LNG as their critical energy lifeline. Natural gas prices in Europe exploded 20% in a single trading session after these strikes. In Asia, LNG spot prices had already doubled before the attacks even started. Analysts at Bloomberg are now projecting Asian LNG prices could push past $26 per million BTU. Iran claims the strikes are fully justified retaliation. U.S. denies any advance knowledge of the South Pars attack by Israel. But the markets do not care about diplomatic denials. The markets are repricing the world, right now. Then there is Saudi Arabia. The Samref refinery and the Jubail petrochemical complex in Saudi Arabia were specifically named by Tehran as legitimate military targets. Saudi energy officials just issued a direct, terrifying warning to global markets. If current military disruptions persist into late April, oil is on a collision course with $180 a barrel. Not a wild analyst prediction, not a doomsday blogger. The world's most powerful oil exporter calling 180 as their base scenario. Saudi officials themselves are describing this as an energy Armageddon. Just pause on that phrase, energy Armageddon. Meanwhile, in the UAE, the scale of what Iran has unleashed over the last 3 weeks is staggering. By March 17th alone, Iran had fired 314 ballistic missiles, 15 cruise missiles, and an unbelievable 1,672 combat drones at the Emirates. 1,672 drones. Most were intercepted, but not all. A Shahed combat drone struck near the Fairmont Palm Hotel on Palm Jumeirah. Windows shattered in nearby luxury towers. Debris rained onto the Burj Al Arab complex. 8 people have been killed in the UAE alone, more than 150 injured. Just in. Egypt has condemned the Iranian strikes, but Egypt has also simultaneously condemned Israel's original attack on South Pars. The entire Arab world is trapped in an impossible, catastrophic position, forced to choose between their American military alliance and their energy survival. Okay, now we go deep, because most people watching this will stop at the explosions. That is the surface. What matters is what this does to the math of your life over the next 12 months. Let us talk about what happens when you remove 20% of global LNG supply for potentially 5 years. Europe goes into a full energy crisis this coming winter. German industrial production, the backbone of the European economy, collapses. Electricity prices across the continent spike catastrophically. Industrial shutdowns cascade, unemployment surges, and Europe, which is a massive trading partner of the United States, enters a severe recession. That European recession does not stay in Europe. It washes back into American corporate earnings. S&P 500 companies derive roughly 30% of their revenues from international markets. When Europe goes dark, your 401k feels it. Now, let us talk about what $110 oil, trending toward $180, does to your life here in America. Average retail gas prices across the United States have already surged dramatically since this war began. Every $10 increase in Brent crude translates to roughly 25 cents added to every gallon of gasoline at your local pump. If Brent hits 180, you are staring at close to $7 or $8 gasoline. $7 gas. For a country where millions of people commute 30, 40, 60 miles each way to work. Where entire industries like trucking, agriculture, and airline travel are powered almost entirely by liquid fuel. Your grocery bill goes up. Your Amazon delivery goes up. Your Uber goes up. Your flight home for Thanksgiving goes up. Everything that moves in America moves on oil. And right now, the people who control the oil spigot are shooting at each other. What if this is not a temporary spike? What if the Ras Laffan repair timeline, 3 to 5 years, is actually accurate? What if Saudi Arabia's collision course with $180 is not worst case, but base case? Then we are not talking about transitory inflation. We are talking about a complete structural repricing of the American standard of living. Now let us bring in crypto. Because the narrative around Bitcoin in this specific conflict is fascinating. When the Iranian drones started hitting Dubai's luxury districts, the ultra-wealthy residents of the Emirates started moving money, fast, quietly. Tens of billions of dollars are now in motion out of the Gulf. Where is that capital going? Some to Singapore, some to Swiss private banks, but a significant, growing portion is flowing into hard, portable, uncensorable assets: gold and Bitcoin. Think about the core value proposition right now. You are a billionaire sitting in Dubai. Iranian missiles are hitting your neighborhood. Your bank accounts are tied to a Western financial system that sanctions people on a whim. Your real estate in Abu Dhabi is now literally inside a conflict zone. What do you want? You want an asset that cannot be bombed, cannot be frozen, cannot be sanctioned, cannot be located. That asset is Bitcoin. $1 billion in Bitcoin moves globally in under 10 minutes. No bank manager, no compliance department, no government approval. And here is the macro Bitcoin thesis accelerating right now in real time. The United States government is currently spending an estimated $1 to $2 billion every single day on this war. Every single day. That money is being borrowed. Newly issued treasuries flooding a bond market that is already structurally weakening. Foreign central banks, the ones who traditionally absorb American debt, are stepping back. They have watched the U.S. freeze Russian sovereign reserves. They have watched the U.S. sanction Iranian oil on and off like a light switch. They are asking a deadly serious question. If Washington will do it to Russia and Iran, why would they not do it to us? This is the core de-dollarization thesis made real, not theoretical, not academic. Happening right now at speed. BRICS nations are watching the Gulf burn with something close to cold, calculated satisfaction. Russia is already pocketing billions in extra fossil fuel revenues because the war has spiked global oil prices in their favor. China is making quiet bilateral deals for discounted Iranian crude, settling it entirely in yuan, not dollars. Yuan. The petrodollar system, the sacred agreement that Gulf oil must be priced and settled in U.S. currency, is fracturing under the literal heat of this conflict. Iran's Hormuz yuan play, China's CIPS payment system bypassing SWIFT, Russia-China trade settling 90% in local currencies. The architecture of the replacement system is not a future plan. It is operational today. Could this be the moment the Gulf states finally break from Washington? Saudi Arabia and the UAE are technically U.S. allies. But they are watching American airstrikes in their neighborhood, Iranian missiles hitting their refineries, their citizens scrambling for shelter, and Washington is 3,000 miles away managing the war like a spreadsheet. The trust that built the petrodollar over 5 decades is evaporating in real time. Let us zoom all the way out. What is the actual endgame here? The United States went into this conflict with a clear military objective: neutralize Iran's nuclear capability, degrade its military, secure the Gulf. But war has a logic of its own. And right now, the Gulf is not secured. It is on fire. The world's largest LNG plant is offline for 5 years. Oil is racing toward $180 a barrel. American defense spending is exploding the national debt at $2 billion a day, and the global south is quietly, rapidly, methodically building a financial system that does not need the dollar. This is not the story of a military victory. This is the story of an empire winning battles while losing the war that matters most: the currency war, the debt war, the energy war. Here is your specific action checklist, not financial advice, but the macro framework for protecting yourself. First, understand that oil above $110 is the new baseline until this war ends or the Ras Laffan repairs are complete. Budget for $7 gas. It may not get there, but if it does and you are not prepared, it will wreck your monthly cash flow. Second, hard assets are being repriced upward globally. Central banks globally have been buying physical gold at record pace for 2 consecutive years. They are not doing that by accident. They see the structural damage to fiat credibility. Follow their lead. Third, watch Bitcoin closely over the next 30 days. The historical pattern is clear. Initial war, panic triggers a sharp crypto sell-off. Smart money uses that sell-off to accumulate. Then, as inflation accelerates and fiat credibility crumbles, Bitcoin reprices dramatically higher. The Gulf capital flight is an accelerant. Fourth, watch the LNG story specifically. American LNG exporters, companies exporting from U.S. Gulf Coast terminals, are going to be the single biggest financial winners of the Ras Laffan outage. Europe needs that gas. Asia needs that gas. And now that Qatar is offline for years, the United States becomes the default global LNG supplier. That is a potentially massive industrial and energy investment tailwind hidden inside this tragedy. The bombs falling on the Persian Gulf are not just geopolitical news. They are the most powerful macro signal in a generation. Your portfolio, your purchasing power, your retirement account, all of them are directly in the blast radius. The question is not whether this impacts your financial life. The question is whether you are positioned before the full impact lands or after. That is the dollar endgame. Tomorrow, we are going deep on something truly explosive. The exact BRICS payment architecture that is already processing hundreds of billions of dollars outside of Western systems. How it works, who is using it, and how it accelerates every single week this Gulf war drags on. You absolutely cannot miss that breakdown. Before you go, drop your answer in the comments right now. Are you stacking Bitcoin on this dip, rotating into physical gold, or buying American LNG exporters as the Qatar supply gap widens? Tell me your play. I read every single comment personally. If this analysis hit different for you today, if you finally understand the real war happening behind the explosions, smash that like button right now. It tells the algorithm this content matters. Subscribe to Dollar Endgame. Hit that bell icon so you catch every single update as this situation escalates. Stay informed, stay ahead, and I will see you tomorrow.